All right, so you're thinking about insurance in Kenya, huh? It's more than just picking a name off a list.
It really is. It's about finding the right fit for your specific needs.
Exactly. And luckily, we've done some digging. Company websites, industry reports. We've even got this breakdown of key players by, like, their specialty.
We're talking about a market that's got it all big names you've definitely heard of, like Jubilee Insurance. They've insured, get this, over 1 million lives.
Wow, 1 million. That's huge.
It is. But then you've also got these really specialized players, like AAR Insurance. They're the powerhouse when it comes to private healthcare in Kenya.
Which is interesting, right? Because you were specifically curious about health insurance, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's talk about AAR a bit more then. What makes them stand out besides, well, just being huge?
Well, they've been around for a while, so they have this really strong track record. Plus, they've built up this huge network of healthcare providers. So it's not just about size, it's about trust and reliability, too.
Okay, so it sounds like they've really earned their spot. But are they the only game in town when it comes to health insurance in Kenya?
Oh, definitely not. There are some serious contenders out there, like Britam and CIC Group. They're expanding their offerings like crazy and finding some pretty clever ways to reach new customers.
Oh, like what?
Well, for example, Britam has partnered with a few different banks in Kenya to offer insurance products directly to their customer base.
Smart.
Right.
Talk about cutting out the middleman. That's seriously strategic, especially in such a competitive market, it sounds like.
Oh, it definitely is. But that's actually what makes the Kenyan market so interesting, all this competition. It really seems to breed innovation.
Okay, now that's what I like to hear. But what kind of pushing boundaries are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Well, one of the biggest trends we're seeing, and this isn't something you see everywhere, is the rise of something called microinsurance.
Micro insurance. Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me. That sounds interesting, but also kind of tiny.
Yeah, so basically it's insurance that's specifically designed for people who haven't really had access to traditional policies before. So think smaller coverage amounts, lower premiums, but all designed to meet very specific needs.
Oh, okay, so catering to a whole new segment of the population.
Exactly. And CIC Group, they've been one of the leaders in making this happen.
What kind of products are we talking about here specifically?
Well, they have a whole range, but one that really stands out is their agricultural insurance. Basically, it protects small-scale farmers from losing everything if their crops are damaged by, bad weather.
That's incredible, especially in a place like Kenya where so much depends on agriculture.
Exactly. And for those farmers, that kind of coverage can be life-changing.
It's a safety net,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Okay, so we've got these huge companies, niche players, this push towards financial inclusion with microinsurance. Is there anything else that makes the Kenyan insurance scene stand out?
Definitely. One thing you see a lot of in Kenya is a real focus on community engagement, especially with a company like Jubilee Insurance. They got this program called Jijenje na Jubilee.
Jijenje Jubilee. What does that even mean?
It means build with Jubilee. Basically, it's all about supporting their agents and partners, rewarding the top performers, and helping them develop professionally.
So invest in their people, invest in their success.
Exactly. And the idea is that by supporting their people, they're ultimately supporting the communities where they work.
It's like this ripple effect, right?
Exactly. And it really highlights the impact insurance can have in Kenya. It's not just about policies and premiums, it's about making a real difference in people's lives.
Okay, I'm into it. It's really interesting to see this different side of the insurance industry. We're back, and it's amazing how much we've already covered in the Kenyan insurance market, from industry giants to microinsurance pioneers. It feels like every company has a unique story to tell.
Absolutely. And these stories are often intertwined with larger trends shaping the future of the market. We've talked about CIC Group and their commitment to financial inclusion through microinsurance, right?
Right. Their agricultural insurance product for small-scale farmers was a great example of that.
Exactly. Now, if we connect that to the bigger picture, we see a growing awareness of the need to serve underserved populations, particularly in emerging markets like Kenya. This has led to a surge in innovative products and distribution models.
Okay, I'm all for breaking the mold. What are some other innovations we're seeing besides microinsurance?
Technology is playing a huge role, and it's not just about flashy websites. AAR Insurance, for example, has fully embraced online platforms, allowing customers to compare, purchase, and manage a wide range of policies through their website and mobile app.
So it's about making insurance more accessible and user-friendly, not just for tech-savvy customers, but for everyone.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just convenience. Think about the potential impact on rural communities, where access to physical branches might be limited. This kind of digital transformation is a game changer.
That's a really good point. It levels the playing field in a way that traditional insurance models simply couldn't.
Exactly. And this brings us to another exciting development, Britham's Beta Lab. Remember we mentioned them earlier as a competitor to AAR, especially in the health insurance space.
Yes, they were the ones partnering with banks to reach a wider customer base.
Exactly. Well, they're also investing heavily in tech-driven innovation through Beta Lab. This innovation hub is all about exploring cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, and the Internet of Things to develop the next generation of insurance solutions.
Okay, now that's what I call forward thinking. What kind of solutions are they working on?
One area they're focusing on is personalized insurance. Imagine a world where your insurance policy is tailored not just to your demographics, but to your actual lifestyle and risk profile. They're also exploring the use of blockchain for faster and more transparent claims processing.
Wow, it sounds like they're pulling out all the stops. It makes you wonder, what's the driving force behind all this innovation? Is it purely market competition, or is there something more at play?
I think it's a combination of factors. Yes, competition is fierce, but there's also a growing understanding that the traditional insurance model needs to evolve. Customers are more informed and demanding than ever before, and companies that fail to adapt will get left behind.
So it's survival of the fittest, even in the insurance jungle, but it's also about seizing opportunities, right? New technologies, new customer expectations, new ways of thinking about risk and protection.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting for the consumer. With so much choice and innovation, how do you navigate this landscape and find the right insurance fit for you?
That's the million-dollar question, and I bet that's what you're going to help us unpack next, right?
You know it. In the next section, we'll equip you with practical tips and essential knowledge to confidently navigate the Kenyan insurance market. We'll talk about key considerations, potential pitfalls, and how to choose a provider that aligns with your needs and values.
Okay, so we've done the safari, right? Explored all these different companies and what they're doing, but now it's time to actually choose our path.
Exactly. It's one thing to admire the landscape, it's another to actually navigate it yourself.
So where do we even begin? If I'm standing here in Kenya, ready to find the right insurance, what's my first step?
Honestly, before you even look at a single policy, you got to do some soul searching. Figure out what really matters to you when it comes to insurance.
Okay, so what are my priorities? What am I trying to protect here?
Exactly. Are you most worried about your family's financial future, if something unexpected happens? Or is it more about having really good health care for yourself and your loved ones? Or maybe it's about protecting your business, your assets. It's about figuring out what keeps you up at night.
Okay, so let's say I've done that. I've got my priorities straight. How do I actually start matching those up with what these companies are offering?
Well, that's where you start digging a little deeper into the companies themselves. Like we talked about before, Jubilee Insurance. They're really big on community engagement. So if that's something that speaks to you, it's definitely worth checking out their policies.
Right, their whole Jinja Jubilee thing.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Values are important, but you got to look beyond the feel-good stuff, too. You got to read the fine print. Understand the actual policy details.
Because a catchy slogan doesn't always equal good coverage, right?
Exactly. Look closely at what's actually covered and, even more importantly, what's not covered. Those exclusions can really trip you up. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, ask the provider to clarify.
It's like my insurance, my rules, right?
Exactly. And here's another tip. Shop around. Don't just settle for the first quote you get. Compare prices from different providers, just like you would with anything else.
So finding that sweet spot between good coverage and a price that won't break the bank.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, remember that insurance is about peace of mind. It's about knowing that you're prepared if, life throws you a curveball.
It's about facing the unknown with confidence.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, there you have it. We've explored this amazing world of Kenyan insurance together, from the big players to the innovators, the trends, and even how to choose the right path for you. It's been quite the journey.
It really has.
So, to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power. Ask questions, do your research, and choose with confidence. And who knows, you might just find that perfect policy that gives you the freedom to truly live life to the fullest. Until next time.